Every person in the United States has been affected by cancer in some form, whether it's them that's been getting told that they have cancer or somebody that they know or a relative. There is no cure for this disease, and it is even worse when it happens to a child. Whether it be funding from our government or other institutions such as the American Cancer Society, our children receive the least amount of funding. Childhood cancer is not rare, and the medicines that they have to take for this to go through this treatment can cause lifetime effects, and it even can cause their death. In this speech, I will discuss the funding and the risks we take by not funding treatments for our children. Let's begin with the statistics of childhood cancer. According to St. Baldrick's, more children lose their life to cancer than any other disease combined. Childhood cancer is not one simple group of cancer. There are many different types. And before a child is 20 years old, there will be 1 out of 285 children that have some form of cancer. With there being so many types of cancer, a child is diagnosed worldwide every 2 minutes. There are over a dozen types of cancer and numerous subtypes, making it more and more difficult every day for researchers to find a cure for each child. And according to the Institute of Medicine and National Research Council, 2/3 will have lasting effects that will be with them for their lifetime, and 1/4 of them will have life-threatening effects from these treatments. Though breakthroughs have helped children with ALL, children with brain tumors are not so lucky. Surgeries to remove these tumors are risky because they can harm important parts of the brain, and chemo that is used to treat them sometimes doesn't pass through the blood-brain barrier. That is from the New York Times article, Cancer in Retreat, Fewer Children Are Dying. Now that I have discussed some statistics, let's talk about the funding or lack thereof. Even though more adults have cancer and lose their life to cancer, children have more of their life lost than adults. The National Cancer Institute had a budget of $4.7 billion for funding to disperse between cancer research projects in 2007. That is according to the Einstein Journal of Biomedical. Only 4% of that funding went to our children. The pharmaceutical companies also are underfunding and have close to nothing going to our children. 60% of all funding for new drug development is for adult cancers, and next to nothing for our kids, according to St. Baldrick's. Due to the lack of funding, no new medicine has been approved by the FDA since the 1980s. Drugs for adults are accepted by the FDA with short-term effects, just making their lives go by for just a few months. On the contrary, for children, they have to have long-lasting results that have minimal side effects, and that's the only ones that the FDA will approve. And that is written by the Institute of Medicine and the American Cancer Society. Now that we have gone on the lack of funding for research, I will tell you of how childhood cancer has affected me personally. My niece Macy was 6 years old when she was first diagnosed with ALL leukemia. She went through her bout of treatments at the University Hospital in Columbia, Missouri. Going through chemo and radiation, it really took a toll on her body. She spent months in the hospital rooms. 2 years later, she was in remission. We were ecstatic. Fast forward almost 5 years later, Macy was not feeling well yet again. Our worst fears were confirmed that she had relapsed, not just with one leukemia, but with 2 forms, ALL and AML, which is extremely rare and hard to fight. The doctors informed us that that was the direct cause from her chemo from her earlier stages of cancer. After being diagnosed in April of 2015, by August she was in remission. We were once again overjoyed. Even though that she was in remission, her body had taken a horrible hit with fungus from her chemo, and it infected her whole body, and she could not fight it off because she had no immune system. 3 weeks after her 13th birthday, Macy passed away due to these complications. This is the story of many children fighting cancer. Now that we have discussed my personal story, I will go on with my conclusion. Childhood cancer is underfunded and has more research that needs to be done in order to give our children the life that they deserve. With many side effects from these drugs, many children relapse and have lifetime complications from these drugs due to the contents of what's in their medicine. Sharing my personal story, I hope it informed you of what happens when these things happen. Childhood cancer is just not about bald kids, smiley faces asking for money in commercials. Childhood cancer is raw, it is real, and it is underfunded. Thanks.